Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road with another battery bank review. You may wonder why I continue reviewing battery banks. Fairly simple. I always nowadays use one on my trips, even though I have a lithium setup in the car. And I also found another use case for the lithium battery banks, and that is in the house as a UPS. But we will speak about that in an upcoming video. So this review is about the Anker Solix C1000, and that's the first battery bank from Anker I ever reviewed. I know Anker as a company for quite a while because I have a few products from them which I purchased, and I was quite happy when they contacted me and asked me whether I would like to review one of their battery banks. And I just came back from a week trip in the Pilliga and beyond. Check out that video series, and I had a good opportunity to test the Anker, in addition to the few months of testing I have already done at home here and in my shed. Before we get into the specs, I would like to get two things out of the way. Number one, please let the video run in its entirety, because that helps the YouTube algorithm. It also does help if you like, share, and leave me a comment in the comment section. So the second thing out of the way is the disclaimer. I have not purchased this unit. Anker provided me the unit free of charge. They contacted me and asked me whether I would be interested to review it, which I agreed to. However, I have not signed any agreements. Anker will not see this video before you guys, and everything in this video is based on my experience and opinion. So let's have a look at the specs. This unit packs a 1056 watt-hour capacity with 88 amp-hours total, giving you 69.2 usable amp-hours on AC and 74.73 on DC. The 1800 watt pure sine wave inverter can boost for 2400 watts when needed, while the MPPT controller handles 11 to 60 volts at 600 watts for solar charging. Built with live PO4 chemistry, it's rated for 3000 cycles to 80% depth of discharge. AC fast charging delivers 1300 watts to get you back up and running quickly. At 376 mm by 205 mm by 267 mm and weighing 12.9 kg, it's compact enough for most setups while maintaining IP65 rating for dust and splash protection. Bluetooth connectivity lets you monitor everything through the app, keeping you informed without the guesswork. The Bluetooth app is also the only option to change settings on the device. Let's now have a look at all the output ports the unit has. The Australian version of the C1000 comes with 9 total ports, 4 AC outlets compared to 6 on the overseas model, 2 USB-C ports, one is delivering 100 watt and the other one only 30 watt, and a pair of 12 watt USB-A ports. In addition, there is one 12-volt cigarette lighter socket. After we discuss the output ports, let's now have a look at the input ports of the unit. Input connections are straightforward. A standard 230-volt AC port handles main charging at up to 1300 watts, while the XT60 port accepts solar input from 11 to 60 volts at 600 watts maximum. Both charging ports sit on the side of the unit. The opposite side houses the connection port for linking an expansion battery pack when you need extended capacity. It is a proprietary plug, and I don't have an extension battery to test it. At 12.9 kg and occupying just over 20 liters of space, the C1000 delivers a solid power-to-weight ratio of 139.5 watts per kilogram. With a regular price of 1,599 Australian dollar, the current sales price of $1,000 represents excellent value. Based on the actual usable capacity, I measured at 896 watt-hours. That works out $1.12 per usable watt-hour. A competitive figure that reflects real-world performance rather than theoretical specifications. For a unit this size and capabilities, that's solid value for money. So let's have a look at the design and build quality of the unit. And to be honest, this is something which really impressed me. I really like how it's built. This is actually the only one of the units I had which took a proper fall. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Everything worked. You see a bit scruff marks here. But overall, the make and feel of the unit is excellent, and I nearly say it's the best of all of the units I have seen. That is also kind of what I expected from Anker, because the other products I have, which are usually smaller chargers and electrical things, are very, very good quality, and I expected the same from the Anker battery bank. Obviously, I haven't done a long-term test, it's only been a few months, but overall, I really like the quality, the feel of the plastic, the tolerances, how it's all done, very good. And if I compare it to the EcoFlow Delta 2, I reckon it is on par with the EcoFlow Delta 2. And to be honest, I preferred over the EcoFlow Delta 3, which feels a bit more plasticky and a bit more techy. One important thing I also look at whether the plastic is likely to disintegrate after a few years, because keep in mind one of these units should last you 10 years. And while I can't say that with certainty, I had quite a few products which started to become all sticky after several years, and I don't think these plastic will develop that habit. For the testing phase, I put the C1000 through its paces with real-world scenarios and some controlled benchmarks. Starting with DC capacity testing, I ran a 10 amp load through the cigarette lighter socket and extracted 896 watt-hours or 72.66 amp-hours of usable power. That's the actual energy you can count on in the field. AC testing proved more demanding, with a 1720 watt heater load delivering 831 watt-hours before the unit shut down, representing 78.7% efficiency through the inverter conversion process. The USB port delivered nearly as promised. The 100 watt port provided 86 watt to my MacBook Pro, but it could also be that my MacBook didn't demand for more. The 30 watt port delivered 28 watts to my MacBook Pro. These figures reflect real charging speeds rather than theoretical maximums. Noise testing required some creative setup to avoid interference from the load equipment. I ran a long extension lead outside and measured sound levels with a 1720 watt heater running. Under full load, the C1000 registered 70 decibels measured from the top of the unit, just 1 decibel louder than the EcoFlow Delta 2 under identical conditions. Charging presents a different acoustic profile entirely. At maximum 1332 watt input, the unit sits around 50 decibels. But dial that back to 598 watts and it drops to a much quieter 39 decibels. The EcoFlow maintains 59 decibels regardless of whether you're charging at 600 or 1200 watts, making it noticeably louder during low power charging scenarios. So 1840, it runs continuously. Have a heater and a heat gun connected. But if I crank it further up, it goes into its knees, which is fair enough. That's what's advertises. I couldn't reach the 2400 surge, 1840. But I think if I go one higher here, it's gonna be going 2100, yeah. But then it switches off. For vehicle-based charging via an inverter, the adjustable input rate proves essential for real-world touring. My 700 watt inverter shuts down if I simply plugged in the C1000 at full charge rate. So I dial it back to 600 watt to charge while driving or directly from my 160 amp hour built-in lithium battery. The DC input through the cigarette lighter socket provides 120 watts, slower certainly, but useful for topping up during longer driving days. Solar charging with a 400 watt panel delivered 320 watts in less than ideal morning conditions, with some cable shading. The included XT60 splitter cable allows connection of 2 panels through the single input port. The integrated light often gets overlooked. I'll admit I frequently forgot that it was there during testing. It offers 3 brightness settings controlled remotely through the app, plus an SOS function that could prove valuable in emergency situations. The light's position and diffuser design means it's not harsh or glaring, but the bright setting provides adequate illumination for camp cooking or equipment setup without being intrusive to others nearby. After extensive field testing across 2 trips, including a 7-day Pilliga adventure where it powered induction cookers daily, the unit proved reliable and robust. It survived an unexpected drop when my camp table collapsed, emerging with only cosmetic scratches. Throughout a week of bush camping, being loaded and unloaded multiple times daily, it handled the treatment without complaint while maintaining consistent performance. The C1000 connects via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi connection being particularly useful for remote monitoring, like checking the unit in my shed from the office. The app design is clean and functional, displaying battery capacity, temperature, and input-output status on the main screen. You can toggle ultra-fast charging, monitor all ports, including the misleadingly named car charger, which is actually the cigarette lighter output, and control both the light and display remotely. The settings menu includes a crucial AC charging wattage adjustment, essential for vehicle charging without overloading your inverter. Power saving modes automatically shut off unused AC and DC ports when no load is detected. The light offers an SOS blinking mode for emergencies, while screen brightness and timeout are adjustable from 20 seconds to 30 minutes, though an always-on option would be preferable. Standard features include device naming, temperature unit selection, serial number display, and firmware update, which I completed without issues during testing. However, I have one big gripe with this app, which I will discuss in the What Could Be Improved section. Let's now go over what I really like about this unit. What particularly appeals to me about this unit is the solid construction quality backed by a 5-year warranty. The industrial-grade components and drop-resistant, fire-resistant enclosure gives confidence for rugged use, while the form factor on port layout suits my specific packing requirements perfectly. The pretty safe LivePure 4 chemistry delivers 3000 cycles to 80% capacity. That's 1,000 fewer than the EcoFlow, but still represents over a decade of reliable service for most users. The technical specifications hit the right balance: an 800-watt pure sine wave inverter, 600-watt MPPT controller, and built-in AC charger eliminate the need for external components. Fast charging at 1320 watts gets you back to full capacity in around an hour, while the GaN charging technology makes it the quietest unit of this size I have tested during high-speed charging. The dual Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity provides flexible monitoring options, and the display remains clear and informative. The built-in UPS functionality with a 20 millisecond switchover proves handy for backup power applications, seamless maintaining power to sensitive electronics like routers or CPAP machines during outages. Even the adjustable built-in light adds practical value without unnecessary complexity. It's a well-designed package that prioritizes reliability and real-world functionality over flashy features. The size and weight means it's easily carried in one hand and suits itself very well for car-based use. But nothing is perfect, and the C1000 has a few areas that could use improvement. The biggest frustration isn't with the unit itself, but with the app's authentication system. So I just reset the password and it's still not working. I copied and pasted, so it's definitely the correct password, and it is still not working. That's a joke. I've had to reset my passwords 4 times now. And before you suggest user error, I use long, secure passwords stored in a password manager that are only copy and paste. During the last trip, I needed to reduce the charging voltage to avoid overloading my inverter, but could not access the app due to being logged out and then not being able to log in because of another password failure. Fortunately, I had Starlink to reset it remotely, but without that connection, the unit would have been essentially useless for vehicle charging. This is a battery bank, not a bank account. Constant logouts and authentication requirements are unnecessary and potentially problematic when you're operating remotely. I did a bit of research via Perplexity, and unfortunately I'm not alone in this boat, so I hope that is something which Anker can address quickly and change. Beyond the app issue, there are minor improvements I'd suggest. The 30-watt USB-C port could benefit from faster charging speeds. 2 100-watt ports would be better. And like most units in this category, noise levels under full load could be better, though I understand the cooling requirements make this challenging. One feature missing from the app and every portable battery bank I've tested is a cycle count display. Dedicated LFP batteries for manufacturers like Redarc and Invicta have included cycle counts for ages, so there is no technical reason portable units can't offer the same basic information. Given these batteries are rated for specific cycle counts, knowing where you stand would be genuinely useful for monitoring battery health. I hope Anker and other manufacturers add this simple but valuable feature in future updates. Dual charging support combining solar and AC simultaneously would be useful, though not something I'd use frequently. The unit lacks an IP rating, though Anker does offer a waterproof bag accessory. And I was surprised to see that there are also several aftermarket solutions available. Some built-in dust and splash protection would be preferable, but the cooling vents make these a difficult engineering compromise. These are relatively minor concerns compared to the app authentication problems, which really need addressing for a unit designed for remote use. So, I really like the Anker Solix C1000 and it's definitely staying in my kit. It works perfectly with my current packing setup. Feature-wise, it's slightly below my reference unit, the EcoFlow Delta 2 and 3, but the build quality feels at least equivalent, if not better. Only time will tell on long-term durability though. For weekend camping and as a supplement to my fixed 160 amp-hour lithium system, it performs exactly as needed, and I'm keen to see how it holds up over the next year or two. Would I recommend it over the EcoFlow Delta 2 or 3? You won't be disappointed with either unit. While the Deltas offer a few more features, it really comes down to which layout and design philosophy suits your needs better. I can confidently recommend both and will continue using them in different applications. I do hope though that Anker addresses the app connectivity issues. They are genuinely frustrating and potentially problematic for remote use. I now preset the unit to 600 watt charging before every trip, but that's a workaround I shouldn't need. Unfortunately, this trend of requiring logins for basic product functionality isn't limited to Anker. And frankly, it's a concerning direction for the industry. Your gear should work when you need it, regardless of internet connectivity or authentication servers. So that are just my 2 bob's worth. Have you used the Anker Solix C1000 or any other Anker product? Let me know your experiences in the comment section. Yeah guys, that's a wrap up for this video. I hope you got some useful information out of it. If you want to help me to continue with this channel, I would greatly appreciate if you could share, like and subscribe. And if you can afford it, maybe even head over to Patreon or buy me a coffee, and with the equivalent of a cup of coffee or 2 per month, you can help me to stay independent and create these videos for you. Thank you very much, and I see you along the tracks.